we're in the city of
guys,
David.
Guys, we are here. You are standing over the most recent discovery, archaeological discovery, the King David's Palace. It was discovered by the expedition of Professor Elat Mazar of the Hebrew University. Now, when it comes to the city of David, first of all, the city of David was, in a way, quote-unquote, rediscovered by Captain Warren of the PF, Palestine Exploration Fund, because until then, everybody was looking for the city of David probably under the Temple Mount in the old city. Warren was the first one to identify this place as the city of David because he was down there in the valley, in the village of Silwan, and heard the noises of water. He went in and found a shaft. Again, now it's called the Warren shaft, but this shaft is made by water. I don't want to go into geology now, but take it as I say, it's a karstic shaft. When the water runs in, it melts the limestone and it made a big hole. He was so curious because when he was at the spring, when the spring began, the source of water springing, the spring of Gihon, he looked up. There's it was like a chimney, like a tube, like a cylinder that you could look through and you go up. He wanted to see what's in there. So he was a genius. How do you climb? He brought wood with him and he built a ladder as he was climbing. So he built a very low ladder. Once he was on the top step of the ladder, he took the wood and built another ladder, and that's how he made it up. He found himself into the center of the corridor leading, the subterranean corridor, which we're going to walk through, leading to the city. And that's when he declared, we discovered the city of David. Until then, nobody. So the city of David is the section, the southern slope of Mount Moriah. Remember the Golden Dome? We are below it, framed by two canyons, the Kidron and the Tyropean, blocked in the south by the Gehenna Valley. Very narrow slope. David, again, conquered the place from the Jebusites, and you can see that not only Warren in 1898, but David's general Yoav found the waterway, snuck in, and conquered the city. David conquered the city in the year 1000 before Christ from the Jebusites. And then he created the United Kingdom. He built a palace here. The palace is built on the highest spot in the valley. From here, the only choice is to climb up to the Temple Mount, to the Ophel hill on which Solomon built the temple. Now the city was built on a very narrow slope. He made it even narrower. You will see that the city walls are not built down in the valley, because if you build your city walls down in the canyon, the enemy could climb up on the other hill and throw stone over your walls. So by building the city walls halfway out of the slope, he made the city narrower but more secure. So this is the palace, and we are dealing here at the city of David with two periods. The period of 1000 before Christ, when David conquers the city and makes it the city, the capital of the United Kingdoms. A city that survived almost 400 years, until 586, when the Babylonians destroyed the city. Why do I tell you this? Because right here, we are in 586. That means we have the palace. This palace was destroyed in 586 by the Babylonians. And the great thing about it, we have a proof to reinforce the stories of the Bible. Now, down below, the construction of the city, the Jewish city. Here, the destruction of the city. In between, 486 years. So you can see here, the temple is destroyed. The people, the city was destroyed, burned, everything in flames, the palace collapses. Terrible. Jews are taken out of here, and almost 3,000 years later, Eilat Mazar, an archaeologist, digs here, uncovers the palace, and finds a bulla. A bulla is an imprint in clay in which they used to seal documents with. What's so important about this bulla? It tells us, the bulla says, that it is of the time of Zedekiah, who was the last king in David's dynasty, the man I just mentioned earlier. It says, Zedekiah the king, sent Yehochal, son of Shalmaiah, and Zephaniah, the son of Mishael, the priest. What's so important? They found these two bullas mentioning these two names that are mentioned in the Bible. In the Bible. You see it? It is in Jeremiah. Now, speaking of Jeremiah, Zedekiah is the one who said, don't listen to Jeremiah, the man only, he's a pessimist, it's not going to work. Finally, in order to shut him up, they put him in a dungeon. According to the tradition, this was the hole that they kept Jeremiah in. Right in there. By the way, Jeremiah ended up dying in Egypt. So that's the top. We are going down into David's city. In order to make some order in what I just explained to you, I feel it's not, you don't have it in order. We have the Jebusite, right? David conquers, the first capital city of King David is Hebron. He comes from Hebron, conquers the city, and the year is 1000 before Christ. Now this city survives during
Jeremiah's whole dungeon right there.
Of David's dynasty. The last one is Zedekiah. That means the city, the people lived here for more than 486 years. Now, David dies, and that's very important to remember. David dies, and Solomon builds the temple. Now, David created the capital of the United Kingdom of Israel. Solomon made it the holy city, because once he completed the temple on the hill, Jerusalem became the holy city, because the temple to us and Christianity is God's home on earth. And the proof is, remember, when Jesus was lost in the temple for 3 days, when his parents found him, what did he tell them? I was in my Father's home. Right? So we have the political capital and the holy city. 1,000 years before Christ, when David conquered the city, he conquered Jerusalem. For 486 years, the people who lived here named it Zion. And why Zion? Because the city is built on the edge of a desert. A desert in Israel, in Hebrew, is Zion, or Tziyah. The city next to the Tziyah is Zion. Right? In English, Zion. You saw it. Remember the tunnel we walked? On the one side we were on the Judean hills. 5 minutes after, we were in the Judean desert, in the Tziyah.
David's palace. There's so many things happened. The rebellion of Absalom, the Bathsheba adultery, but also many powerful songs written here.